Hey guys, I am so excited to be back with another one of my series on the unstoppable after 50. So if we have not met yet, my name is Cerezo. I am a health and wellness coach. I work specifically with women going through perimenopause, menopause, and into postmenopause because guess what? When you're done, or when you think you're done, you're not really done. And postmenopause is just as important. So I'm excited because I'm going to be joined live here with Lauren Tetenbaum, and we are just waiting for her to pop on. Y'all know how I am with. I'm excited to be talking because we're going to be talking about menopause when it comes to our next generation. There you are.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Can you see me okay?
I'm so excited to have you here. So number one, thank you for making the time because girl, you are everywhere.
We're moving along. It's fun. I've met so many amazing women, other providers, other coaches, other people who really care, patients, and it's really been fun. So it's my pleasure to be here.
Good. Well, thank you so much for making the time. I'm so excited to get into this. Okay, so before we kind of dive into what we're going to be talking about, let's do a little overview of who you are, what you do.
Sure. So I'm Lauren Tetenbaum, aka the counselor. I counsel women as a psychotherapist, former lawyer. I support them, empower them, and connect them with other women. And it's particularly meaningful to me to help moms, to help young women navigating career issues, dating, etc., and anything related to reproductive mental health, including the menopause transition.
Which is obviously on fire right now. And so I always say, I started talking about menopause about 6 years ago when I started going through my own journey, and I felt like I was on an island by myself. But obviously now there's more people involved, more people are talking about it, it's open. But you actually have been talking about it for a while as well. And tell us a little bit, you wrote an article called Are You There, Menopause? It's Me, Millennial Mom.
Mm-hmm.
When was that published? How did that even come about?
Sure. So that was published in March 2024.
Okay.
And in May 2024, I got an opportunity from my publisher to turn it into a book effectively. And the reason that I wrote the article was because I went to a women's networking event, and Ann Fullenwider, the co-founder of Alloy, a telehealth platform, spoke, and I was the youngest person in the room. I was 38, about to be 39, and every woman said, "I wish I had known blah, blah, blah. I wish someone had told me." It knocked me off my feet. It was years of asking questions and getting no answers.
Yeah.
And I walked out thinking, I have to tell everyone, because it wasn't just me that didn't know anything about menopause. When I did some digging, I realized even the best doctors didn't get any training in menopause. So I started writing it down and asking more questions, and here we have the book. Comes out July 15th.
I know. And so I've already ordered mine.
Oh, thank you.
If you're ready, you can pre-order now. Get it when it comes out, which is July 15th. Where are we? So that's 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yep.
Very exciting. Okay, so you wrote the article. What made you go to that event to begin with? Was it just because it was a women's health event?
It was a women's health event in my community. It was sponsored by UJA, which is an organization that provides support for Jewish communities around the world. And it was women's health was the topic. And I thought, obviously, I love to learn and I love to network and meet other like-minded providers and women in general. And the other topics that you could attend breakout sessions for were related to fertility and perinatal mental health, which are issues that I'm deeply passionate about, but I felt well versed in, and I was curious. I said, what is menopause? I really know nothing about it. I think I should.
Yeah, well, yeah. Hello, welcome. None of us do. And so, and that was big. That like hits hard because I started at 46 and literally woke up and everything changed from head to toe. and I had zero idea what was going on with my body. And I tell people all the time, as a health coach, as a nutritionist, as a fitness trainer, I was lost.
Right.
And I'm thinking, if I can't help my body, how am I supposed to help my clients when they go through this? So I took that deep dive, kind of what you did. When you started to learn more about it, you started to interview women of all ages for the book that's coming out. Were you surprised at the lack of knowledge?
I sure was. I have a joke with many of my friends were on a book club chat. And I immediately said in the chat, there's 30 of us, and we range from ages 35 to 52, wide range. And I said in the chat, I said, what do you know about menopause? Is it just me that knows nothing? And only the 52-year-old knew anything. And then I started digging beyond this small sample, and I asked my doctor friends and my own doctors, and I was really astounded by how little they knew. But it's not their fault, it's not because they didn't care. They were not offered education and training in menopause. And in general, menopause isn't something that we talk about really in the media, in politics, in school. And it became just this topic that really lit a fire under me to spread the word about resources, options, education, and really normalize this conversation.
Yeah. And it needs to be that way. And I know, so let's define what is a millennial.
Sure. A millennial is someone born between 1981 and 1996.
Okay. So my niece and my old daughter are in that bracket. And I always talk about menopause, so I feel like they've probably got a little bit more average person.
Good.
When I talk to women my age and I ask them, did you have conversations with your grandmother, your mother, aunts, whatever it was? So many of the women say no, because my mom had a hysterectomy and it was like a weird, kind of catapulted into menopause. I feel like, yes, women are obviously still having hysterectomies, and there's a lot going on with because of our nutrition and the hormones in our food.
Yeah.
Do you notice that as you start to talk to the next generation, are they having conversations with the moms, and are the moms having a more natural type of menopause?
So I have a few thoughts on this. So first of all, just to be clear, a hysterectomy is the removal of the uterus. It doesn't automatically lead to menopause. The removal of the ovaries, which is an operation called an oophorectomy, will cause induced menopause, early menopause. And I think, and I don't mean to, correct you, but people do say hysterectomy when they mean oophorectomy. And even, again, surgeons are using this language, which is confusing to women. And there was an article in the New York Times that recently came out that said women don't even know what body parts they're left with after undergoing these operations. And no one's telling them, I'm generalizing, but very few are hearing the real impact of what these surgeries will result in. When it comes to intergenerational conversations, I will say that I know millennials, are used to talking about tough topics more so than previous generations, whether it's mental health issues, the stressors of parenting, fertility challenges. That is something that proudly we are more comfortable talking about. We are being loud about it, and that's great. I think menopause itself is still in the closet. No friends of mine spoke to their mothers about menopause. And same with my mom, and we have a very open household, and it just wasn't a topic. And part of the reason why, I believe, is because so many of the women in her generation were not offered treatment options, because it was after the WHI study that made people really scared of the medications available. And so women were basically told, suck it up, it's part of life, and move on. And there wasn't much discussed. And in general, we tend to fear aging. We don't like talking about, older women. So it became just swept under the rug, and it's time to pull it out from under there.
Well, yes, 100%. And that was one of the questions is, do you feel as Gen Xers, are we doing a good job at, bringing up the subject, not just talking about the subject, but also talking about how to be successful, how to advocate for yourself, options out there, treatment options, and feeling educated? Do you think that we're doing a good job preparing generations?
I am so grateful to all of the women in this space, whether they are activists, other authors. Tamsin Fidel is amazing, Naomi West, and all the celebrities who are lending their voice to this cause. There's room for everyone here. Join us. We are loud. There are so many doctors who give free and incredibly important information on their websites, on social media. So let's keep going. I think that the more the merrier, whatever generation you are. I think that there is still a disconnect that I'm hoping to fill between millennials and slightly older women. And I know that for me personally, hearing the stories and becoming friends with women who are in a different phase of life than I am is so powerful and just so meaningful. And it was my pleasure to be able to hear older women's stories and share them through this book, because I think we all need to learn from each other.
Yeah, I think, and that's one of the things I talk about all the time, is just the sisterhood component of this. When we're able to lean in on each other, it makes a difference. So
Absolutely.
I am, fingers crossed, I'm hoping that I'm close to the end and ready to do postmenopause and, figure out how I need to body in that new stage. So I'm excited to go and, to go into the next phase. I'm
Yeah.
excited with my cycle, but I also know that I'm done with children. When you talk to women that are in their 30s, their 40s, do they look at it differently? Like, does it make them nervous, a little scared about it? What are your thoughts?
Menopause is not a dirty
Mm-hmm.
word, but it does tend to make people squeamish. And even when I am chatting with friends or people that I meet and I say, oh, I have a book coming out, Millennial Menopause, the reaction is, oh, people get weird about it. But I think I kindly and in a friendly way sort of point out that that's really the point of it. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about this very natural developmental stage of a woman's life. And it's not niche. Women are 50% or more of the population. Every man knows a woman who will endure the menopause transition. And aging is a privilege. And like you just said, every woman that has been through it said to me, I feel better than I ever have. I don't care about, silly things anymore. And the goal of the book is to encourage my generation that's about to embark on the transition to embrace this phase or this period of life, because I love a good pun, but to embrace it with optimism and curiosity. And yes, we might have to do extra work to build up our bone health. And we should be very aware of the symptoms that might impact us. And those can be, literal and figurative pains. But we shouldn't be scared of it, because resources are available and we should be talking about it so that we don't have to suffer in silence.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that I love about that is it's just being educated, because I know it's hard for me to talk to my daughter that is, she's at the end. She's an end millennial, like right there on the cutoff. And so she's literally just have her first baby. And the last thing she's thinking is going through menopause. She's like, please do put me there yet. But I'm like, it's all about being educated and knowing what to expect when you get there. You actually shared a post today that said something about, I actually wrote it down, 55% of women, the ages of 30 to 35, report either moderate or severe perimenopause symptoms. So it's not just something that we kind of need to talk about, it's really happening.
Yeah.
So when women kind of tell you, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to open up, that box yet, what do you say to them? How do you address that?
Well, I try to take away the negative connotation of aging and the end of fertility. And certainly it's easier for me to say the end of fertility doesn't have to be negative because frankly, I'm done having my babies. So if you are not done having babies and you're perhaps approaching your late 30s, early 40s, and don't even want to think about menopause, I would say talk to an expert. I cite to several reproductive endocrinologists in my book about your fertility options. And then that aside, I think it's important. I think knowledge is power. So I think it's very important for women to be aware of what might be going on with them. And many women, because women are increasingly having babies later in life, they're both postpartum and perimenopausal at the same time. And much of the symptoms overlap, but some of the treatment options are different. So it's important to recognize what's going on.
Well, and that's okay. So that's where the education component comes in. And then the next part, which is self-advocacy, which I know you write about in your book. And that's one of the things that I talk so much about. The more you are informed, the more education you have, the better you can advocate for yourself. You can ask your doctor, is this your wheelhouse?
Yeah.
To treat me. And so it's important that when women are going kind of in that crossover of they're in both of those stages, is being able to find somebody that is familiar with stages and how do I treat one versus the other.
Exactly. And if they're unfamiliar, at least a provider who says, I will look into this for you.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And that's the biggest thing is letting providers be comfortable with saying, this isn't my wheelhouse, but let me see what I can do for you or who I can refer you. Okay. So how would you like the millennial gals to show up for G? What do you guys do for the next generation?
Keep talking. We don't need to tell our deepest, darkest secrets on the internet. That's not what I'm calling for, but just normalizing the conversations. My kids are 6 and 9. They know all about periods, menopause, everything. And it's just like talking about, you know, our baby teeth falling out. It's growing up. And it doesn't need to be something that you're ashamed about. That doesn't help anyone. And knowing that everyone's experience is going to be different, but we're still in this together. We are stronger together. That's the key message. And it's true for menopause. It's true for anything related to women's health and women's rights. And so I would say keep talking and keep being loud.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep sharing about it. I love that. And I think you do have a chapter in your book, or trying to think of something about how to talk to your partner. Is that correct?
Okay. I have a chapter dedicated specifically to men. I invite the reader to hand the book over to the men in their life, whether it's a spouse, brother, cousin, colleague, whomever. Every man knows a woman going through the menopause transition, or who will or who has. And this is very much a conversation, and to your point about Gen Z, that everyone should be having, not just people who identify as women.
Yeah. No, and that is so important. And like I said, like my daughters are well versed. So is my son.
Love it.
So the book comes out July 15th. We can pre-order it right now on Amazon.
Yep.
Anything to share about the book?
I'm really excited for this book. It's been such a pleasure to research and connect and write, and it's a big topic, but I hope it's not scary. I infuse a ton of pop culture and fun references throughout, so it really, I've been told, feels like one is talking to their best friend who happens to be an expert in this space. And I will be throughout the US in the coming months. I'm starting in New York where I live, and then going to California in a couple weeks, and I'll be in Denver, and just going out and about to talk about this book and this topic. So please come say hello, and you can find out more information and all the links to order at millennialmenopause.com.
Okay, perfect. So I'll share that as well, so that you guys have the links and you can find her. And then, are you going to be in the Austin area? Do you?
I'm coming to Dallas.
Okay.
In August, which will be hot for a conference, but we will see. I really love connecting with women and whomever everywhere. So if something pops up, that would be great.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's only 2 hours away. I could totally get out there. I love it. Right, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited about this book. I'm so excited to share it with the next generation. And I love that it's got science information and science-backed information, but you don't have to be, a doctor to read. You don't have to have a medical degree to read it. Have a conversation with a girlfriend, and that's key because that's so important. So it's so cute too. I love the pink.
Has pink.
Love that. Well, good luck on your up and the launch of the book. We'll be looking for all the fun stuff you have going on, and I appreciate you taking time out to talk to us. All right, guys, you know where to find it. You can order it now. I'll put all the links there. You can follow Lauren, follow her as she continues to share this message for our next generation of beautiful women.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.